This is Noise. And this is the Noise Machine Straight Vibin Edition. This is a compact and portable Bluetooth MIDI controller. This tiny controller has 12 buttons, a 7-bank slider, and a mod control knob. So basically we can cover up to 7 octaves of keyboard notes and have our mod wheel here. And you simply select your MIDI channel 1 through 12 on startup, and then you're ready to connect. This can be used as a huge 7-bank drum machine with an effects knob, maybe like a DJ filter or something like that. But I like to also think of this as a keyboard controller with a 7-octave range and a mod wheel. This has the really simple layout of 12 buttons, which correlate to the 12 keys or notes on the keyboard, or the first 12 hits on a drum rack. And then the next bank you select with the slider will give you the next octave of 12 notes. And our knob stays the same assignment. I believe the knob is on MIDI CC1, which correlates to the mod wheel on most synthesizers. And we'll see when we get this all connected, the light here will flash between on and off to show us we're switching between banks. And that is basically it. Now, since this little MIDI controller is so simple, it's not really worth doing like in-depth dive into the features, because that's like basically it. It's just a nice little handy portable controller. What I'm going to do for this video instead is see how many different things I can connect to, and then at the end I'll pull everything together and compose a little piece of music with everything I connected to the Noise Machine. So let's get started connecting this stuff. First up, let's connect it to our Mac. Okay, first things first, let's power this thing up. We'll notice on the front here, there's the charging port or USB port if you don't want to use Bluetooth. And then we just have our on-off switch on the back. So let's turn it on. We can see the lights turn on there, and we have to select our MIDI channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12. I'm just going to select 1. Now we can see it's flashing the connect because now it wants to connect to Bluetooth. And let's do that on our Mac. So the first thing we want to do is go into the MIDI settings so we can get this connected. For that, I'm going to go to the Spotlight search and just search MIDI, and we'll get our Audio MIDI Setup app. So we can see we have all my devices here, but then we also have this Bluetooth down here. If we double click that, we can click the device here that will show up and hit connect. And now we are connected to Ableton, which is great because let's just show you, I can play some piano. Select the Noise Machine, and I can play some piano on the Noise Machine. Now let's connect it to some other stuff. Okay, now let's connect it to something external out of our DAW or our computer with Bluetooth. So I'm going to use this Oxi Sequencer here. So let's turn this on, and I'm going to turn on the Noise Machine. And I'm going to select channel 4 so I can control the drums here. And now on the Oxi, I'm just going to go to the configuration. Make sure the Bluetooth's on. Let's turn it off and back on. Now we can see it looks like we're connected because we don't have a blinking light anymore. So now let's go to here, and we can see we are hitting our drum pads with the Noise Machine. Now that's great, but we're not connected to anything. So here's where the next awesome thing is. We're going to connect it to Eurorack. The first way here is the easy way, and that is going to be through MIDI out the Oxi into the Oxi Coral. But I could use the pipe or all these CV jacks and gate jacks on the back of the Oxi here to also incorporate into my Eurorack system. So let's get this patched together really quick. and hear what we could do with the noise machine. All right, I have a little thing patched up here, and you could hear we could control some drums with the noise machine. All right, now let's get connected to all the other synths. Now we saw how easy it was to connect this to different devices like our Mac and the Oxi Sequencer, and you could easily connect it to your phone or your iPad or anything like that. But I'm not going to go through that in this video because that's not really my thing. I could see easily using this as a sample launcher in an iPad app or an iPhone app, but that's not really how I would integrate this into my workflow. I see this more as a little performative and inspiring little controller that kind of frees you up and allows you to move around. Let's say I'm performing and I need some claps to intermingle into the drum beat, or I want to launch some clips from Ableton or control some effects. It's great because I have it just in the palm of my hand when I'm performing. So I'm going to show you how I'm incorporating this in my setup after getting to know it for a little bit. And I'm able to route the noise machine to pretty much anything I want using two things: Ableton's external instrument and just a basic old key step. Now the key step is great as a little keyboard on its own, but really what I use it most as is a kind of MIDI hub where I send everything out from Ableton into the key step. I then send out of the key step into a MIDI splitter that connects the MIDI cable to all my different synthesizers. And then I also have the CV outputs here to connect to my modular. So this is a pro tip if you want everything kind of connected and intermingled with your studio. This is what I found worked for me, and it's really easy, even if I'm playing with my keyboard, to switch between synthesizers or anything like that. Just hold Shift and click the MIDI channel that I want to switch to, and I have these handy little notes here that give me the MIDI channels of all my connected synthesizers. So for the rest of this demo, I'm going to show you these kind of Ableton external instrument key step tricks to get it connected to anything in your studio. And that's just going to be connecting the MIDI out from the key step to each of the synthesizers here and using the noise machine through Ableton into the key step out to the synthesizer. First, really quick, I'll walk you through the Ableton external instrument settings and how we set this up. And we'll get it connected to all these different synthesizers and see how the noise machine works with it. Now, the first step to route the noise machine through Ableton and into our key step out to all of our synths is creating an external instrument, MIDI instrument in Ableton. So I'm going to go over to Instruments, go to External Instrument here, drag that over. And the first thing I want to do is go MIDI from, and I'm going to select our noise machine. And I could just have it at all channels, that's fine. I have it at channel 1 right now. But that doesn't really matter because we're going to be able to change that MIDI channel when we send it out to our key step. So in our external instrument settings, first we see right here in the little MIDI input here, we're receiving the signals from the noise machine, but it's not doing anything. We go MIDI 2, and I'm going to go to my Arturia key step. And the channel is going to determine what I'm sending it to. The starting synth I'm going to use here, and the synth that I'm using first is going to be channel 6. So I'm going to go to channel 6 here. Now, one last thing I didn't mention is that we have to arm our track for the external instrument. And now we could really see that it is sending out the MIDI to channel 6. And now let's jump over to the synths, and we'll just try all the different synths out with the Noise Machine.